Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Thank you so much to everybody who tuned in earlier today when I had my joint podcast with Brian from Sussex Squad Family TV. That was such a fun podcast. Thank you so much to Brian. Thank you so much to everyone who joined in that. Something very different. I think you'll really love that. And if you would like to have, I would say maybe monthly discussions like that, please do let me know, and I will try and get more content creators in this space to come on, because it's just always fun to have another perspective like that, and also to reflect on where we've come from and look at where we're going. And it's nice for you to also hear someone other than my voice. So thank you very much, Brian, for that, and everybody who came along. It was so much fun, wasn't it? Hey Elaine, I hope was it your eye you said you were having some treatment for? Hope you're feeling better. Julia, you said you missed it. You must watch on replay. Yes, you must watch on replay. It was definitely worth watching. Let's see. Oh, Resistors, a member for 8 months. I feel like you've been a member for longer, but a lot of people got kicked out of membership because of that time that I got demonetized. Let me just actually put the link to memberships on Buy Me a Coffee. If you want to join memberships, please do join through Buy Me a Coffee. You can join through YouTube, that's fine. But YouTube takes so much away from creators, so I always encourage either Buy Me a Coffee if you want membership, or PayPal for donations. But thank you everybody who is a member on YouTube. Appreciate you all. Sharon, you and Baron need to do one. Yes, we do. I don't think have I ever been on Barons? I think there was one time I went on Barons, but there was such a long line on stage that I think I actually fell asleep. And then by the time I woke up, the podcast was actually finished. But I will either try and get on his or try to get him on mine eventually. That definitely needs to happen. And yes, Tina, of course. There is somebody else who I know you're going to love who has already agreed to come on. So definitely November, I've got a special guest coming on. I know you're going to love this one. He's a lot more new to the royal space, but he's already made such an incredible impact in this space. So can't wait to have him on sometime in November, which is also my birthday month, by the way. November 1st, I'm turning 35. Oh my God. All right, let's get into it, because there's been a couple of updates since yesterday. Yes, Meghan and Harry popped up at an event. This is for the Alliance of Children's Rights, which is a charity that is run by Meghan's dear friend Kelly. She's also known as Heart Mum online. Kelly McKee, I think it's Zajfen. So Meghan and Kelly have actually been friends for years. I think she even went to her wedding. So this is quite a long time friendship, and it's just lovely to see things come full circle. Meghan coming back to the US, the fact that Kelly also lives in Cali, and they're able to be close to each other, and also the families are also close. Kelly also has a daughter called Lily. And so I think this is going to be an annual thing now that Archewell supports the Alliance of Children's Rights. And here's a couple more. Oh yeah, here's some more pictures and some info on the Archewell Foundation website. For the second year, the Archewell Foundation is proud to support the George Zajfen Tennis Tournament in Los Angeles, a moving event that brings the community together in support of the Alliance for Children's Rights. Prince Harry and Duchess Meghan attended the tournament, celebrating the Alliance's remarkable impact on ongoing commitment to strengthen families across Los Angeles. And also remember, Kelly lost her dear son George. The annual George Zeshven Tennis Tournament raises essential funds to advance the Alliance's mission of securing safe homes, quality education, and holistic support for children and families in need. At the Archwell Foundation, we remain committed to uplifting communities and are proud to support the Alliance of Children's Rights, dedicated to ensure children receive the support and care they need. Since its founding in 1992, the Alliance for Children's Rights has served as a vital advocate for vulnerable children, ensuring they have access to the stability, care, and opportunity every child deserves, from providing free legal services to helping young parents in foster care and their children build brighter futures. The work continues to make a profound difference, and they apparently raised $200,000. So when we hear crooked people who want to ruin other people's charities talking about Harry and Meghan were getting in the way of fundraising, all of this nonsense that Sophie Chandaluka was talking about, and she's now destroyed Centre Barley. Just know that it's nonsense. Anywhere Harry and Meghan goes, money flows, especially if it's for charities. And Meghan also posted some pictures on her Instagram stories. Incredible. Kelly also publicly expressed gratitude for Harry and Meghan for being a guiding light for her family. Kelly has spoken about her deep bond with Meghan, once stating in a Q&A that I've actually known her for almost 20 years. She even came to my wedding 15 years ago. She's been the most amazing, nurturing, fun-loving human. And doesn't it say a lot about Meghan's character that she actually is able to not only keep friendships like this for so long, but such nurturing friendships with such wholesome people? Can't say the same for her sister-in-law. Also, so there was meant to be this event that was scheduled in LA, that was cancelled due to the LA fires. Now, this was meant to be at the Natural History Museum of Los Angeles. It was moved. Now, Meghan did show up. Well, she showed up via video. She showed her support through a video message. The week prior, she had visited the museum for a private donor event. So we don't have pictures, but she engaged with students from the Girls Academic Leadership Academy at Project 23, exploring hands-on how the Ice Age, climate change, and fire shaped the LA basin. She was honored at the event. The week before the gala, she visited the museum, and she shared her support for the museum via a special video message. They said in a statement, our dazzling new gala reflects the awe-inspiring diversity and beauty of the Natural History Museum's collections, groundbreaking programs, and especially the museum's enduring commitment to protect and enhance urban nature, said the president of the board of the trustees. She said, I am inspired by the generosity that supports the Natural History Museum's work to conserve and document the rich biodiversity of our urban landscape, and we are grateful to our supporters, including Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, whose passion for education and community and empowerment continues to inspire us. So, again, Archwell's arms spreading to other causes also. It's lovely to hear that they got the support in the end, because obviously the LA fires did put a major dent in all of that. Right, before we move on to the nitty-gritty, the not so nice news, I will read some of your comments. Hi, if you're just joining us. Hey, Julia. Let's see if you've put any. All right. Okay, I don't think there's any comments for me to read, so I will get on to the next thing. Oi, Prince Andrew, the ever-exhausting merry-go-round that is Andrew, Randy Andy, the fall Andrew. Now, I said in an earlier podcast that there was an MP, Rachel Maskell, Labour for York Central, is now calling for an investigation into the 12 million that Andrew, settled, or the 12 million that Virginia Giuffre was given. Now, at the time, it was thought that that was just a temporary silencing because at around that time, I believe it was Betty's Jubilee. So they didn't want to cause embarrassment around that time. But the day, and I even forgot about this, the day that Epstein was found dead in his cell, they were on their way to church, praying to wash away their sins, I'm sure, both looking rather jolly. I think this is the biggest dent on Betty's legacy. Duchess on Twitter saying this is absolutely one of those things that doesn't look good on the Queen in the last days of her life. It's quite unfortunate. Joe saying she knew who she knew who he was and still rode with him to show her support. This infers she had no concerns for his victims. That Nancy Drew was her favorite child. It does not reflect well on her character. She had access to the best intel, so I bet she knew exactly what he was up to. And it almost seems like just no one can tell Andrew anything. No one can tell him anything. Nobody wants to hold him accountable. And of course, Andrew's just one in a sea of many. But the fact that this is a member of the British royal family, an institution that sits at the highest seat of power, is just despicable. Also coming out now, no surprises, that he asked his taxpayer-funded bodyguards to investigate her, passing on confidential information. Also, potentially that Sarah Ferguson was being bankrolled by Epstein for years. Wouldn't surprise me, because where was she getting the money to live her lavish lifestyle? I think she was even living in Mayfair at one point. Oh, dear, oh dear. Also, the Sky News picking and choosing who they want to protect. The UK media is all part of this, by the way. They've turned off the comments on one of the articles that they posted. Prince Andrew's fall from grace is a never-ending saga. Well, he's never actually really fallen, to be honest. If he had, he'd be behind bars. They've blocked comments on that article. And yeah, Daily Fell, Andrew gagged Virginia Giuffre for a year so the Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebrations wouldn't be tarnished. Silencing a victim so we can have a silly parade. Oh. And now we have William behaving as if he's the one that's instigating all of this nothing burger, big fat nothing burger. Now, Tom Sykes is apparently very close to William. He gets briefings from William. And he wrote a rather interesting article. Now, if this is all briefed by William, don't ever go and read his Substack, by the way. Don't give him clicks and views. I may cover what I think is relevant every so often, and then Squaddy's screen print stuff as well. So you never have to give him clicks and views, because I do believe that he's playing the game also. But because he is close to Prince William, I think this is worth having a look at. And this is an article that Sykes posted yesterday. The fall of Prince Andrew is the first great triumph for King William. So again, trying to make him look like he's the savior. But I've read through this and I'm going to read it to you now. I actually just think it makes William look like a bit of a psychopath, even if he thinks it's helping. Jedi, you said, I believe Andrew and the royal family don't think what he did was wrong. That's how entitled they are. Indeed. I mean, Charles was friends with Savile. I have no doubt in my mind that the police and people in social services, they all had intel on what he was doing. They were protecting him because he was partly protected by the firm. I mean, he was given a knighthood, so nobody could touch him after that. Yes, Wendy, there's a history of PDF files with the royals. So, let's have a read of this. Prince Andrew was publicly humiliated yesterday, forced to renounce his title, and is now a duke only in memory. Now, that is not correct, and I can't keep stressing that enough. He agreed to no longer use his titles formally. He has not been stripped of his titles. Let's just remember that. Buckingham Palace is furiously spinning the stripping of his titles as a personification of a resolute monarch. But let's be clear, the practical author of Andrew's public alienation is his nephew, the Prince of Wales. William's really trying to make himself look like a hero here, when this is truly a big fat nothing burger. Ridiculous. The announcement may have come from the office of the king. This is why I believe that William has briefed Tom Sykes. But if you read between the lines, William just looks crazy. The announcement may have come from the office of the king, but it was William who wrote the latest chapter. One dare not say the ending because I'm told William still believes too many privileges remain to Andrew. I mean, I think we all believe that too many privileges still remain to Andrew. Readers of the Royalists, unlike those of the craven British newspapers. See how he's trying to make his column sound so much better than the Rotorats when he is still very much a Rotorat because he's getting briefings from William. Readers of the Royalist will be well aware of the central fact informing and underpinning this entire story, that King Charles III is dying. Oh, thank you for letting us know through Tom Sykes, William, that Charles is dying. Thanks for confirming it. You see, when Harry said it, you all were coming for his neck. But here we have in Tom Sykes' column, Tom Sykes, who is briefed by William, saying in black and white that King Charles III is dying, which would explain why we were getting articles about William preparing his coronation robes. William said it, not me. Andrew's separation from his title really goes back to February last year, when the king broke with every tradition of his dynasty and announced to the world that he had cancer. The palace presented this as a gesture of transparency and bravery. Actual friends of the king, speaking informally, have told me they feared it was unwise, but that he had been forced into disclosure because he had hastily informed the world he was having treatment for a benign prostate. So everyone knew something was wrong, which made disappearing for 6 weeks while they figured out the details an impossibility. What the palace refused to say, what the British papers continue not to print, is that the diagnosis was grave from the start. Reporters on the at times most corrupt Royal Rota, a press pool, have spread the fiction of doing brilliantly regarding the monarch, but everyone can see the truth. Charles looks exhausted. He has lost an alarming amount of weight, and he is still receiving regular radiotherapy and immunotherapy. He spends long stretches at Highgrove and Balmoral in near total rest. Yet, in the official narrative, he is merely soldiering on. A few discreet lines are inserted, like the one slipped into the Telegraph piece this week. The king, whose cancer diagnosis has given him other pressing priorities as a form of insurance for when the worst happens. It is not morbid to point this out. The death of the monarch is not a private tragedy. It is the engine that powers every royal drama from Shakespeare to present day. Goes on to say, Zandy Sussex, actually, I'm reading her thread, and even she says in her commentary, make no mistake, the source of this article is Willie himself. So now we're briefing Outlier Rotarats, and their Substack newsletters. The announcement of Charles' illness fired the starting gun on what the courtiers call the change of reign. From that moment, power began to flow from the king to the heir. And from that moment, William's patience for his father's and for his brother's chaos and for his uncle's entitlement ran out. William's determination to do something permanent about Andrew when he becomes king can be traced to a single humiliating moment. Balmoral, August 2023, William was ordered to drive Andrew to church. At that moment, Charles hadn't pre-announced his own death. He was the all-powerful monarch who had to be obeyed. So William obeyed. So William is mad that he basically had to take the fall and drive Andrew to church. That's what he's mad and embarrassed about. Where are those pictures? Do I have? I don't think I have the one of William and Andrew, but I think I've got the one of Andrew and the Queen. But we also saw those pictures. You had William and Andrew, and also Kate in the back. We all saw the pictures. The image, grim-faced heir behind the wheel, the disgraced Duke beside him, circulated around the world. William's aides breathed furiously afterward that he had been obliged to do it, that it was not his wish. You know, when I read things like this, I'm just like, this institution is a joke. It's a joke. The fact that they have to do all of this playing for the cameras and drive the PDF uncle to the church ceremony. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Just a bunch of very corrupt, self-indulgent, emotionally stunted people and their nonsense. And we're paying for all of this, by the way. Gentle reminder, we're paying for all of this. Oh dear, oh dear. Those who know William say the episode hardened him. That said one was the day he decided he would never be able to do something like that again. Oh, poor William. In retaliation, he refused to attend Christmas lunch with his family at Sarrington that year after learning Andrew and Sarah would be there. Charles has always enjoyed the posse of conciliator. His instinct is that unity is the greatest royal virtue. He genuinely believed that the family, like the nation, would stick together, that the public would tolerate the Yorks as it had forgiven him. So basically, he's saying that he thinks the peasants are all stupid. I mean, can you blame him for thinking the peasants are stupid? Because they've gotten away with all types for the longest time. So why wouldn't they get away with this? Julia, you've ordered Virginia's book. Well, I definitely take a deep breath and take your time reading it, because based on just what I've seen in the snippets, I personally don't think I can stomach it. I get very triggered reading things like that. But maybe you can give us a review. He imagined that inviting Sarah and Andrew to join the family walk at church would be taken as a good gesture. It was read as proof of delusion by William, who was incandescent. Oh yes, the always incandescent, incandescent with rage William. Part of the trouble was that Charles was so inconsistent. Throughout 2023, Andrew had openly defied Charles over Royal Lodge. Andrew's vast grace and favour mansion in Windsor Great Park, once home to the Queen Mother. Charles tried to order Andrew out. I mean, if he was going to order Andrew out, where was he going to put him exactly? Where was he going to put him? In a giant shoe? The plan was hopelessly under-researched. The Crown Estate lease gave Andrew an ironclad right to stay, but the optics were brutal. Anonymous briefings suggested he might have his electricity cut off. The king looked petty and impotent. Andrew refused to budge, and then invited him and his wife to join the most important photo call of the year. Next part. So when in 2024, Charles announced he had cancer and William was forced to start planning in earnest for his own reign, one of the first decisions he made was the Andrew problem would be solved, as one source told me. Charles will survive longer than was expected in those first fraught few weeks. Still, the energy now flows to William, whose team, young, digital, ruthless, are clearly ready to give the institution the most almighty kick up the behind. I mean, it's really William that needs a kick up the behind and an intervention. Oh, Charles, this is the pre-succession, one former courtier told me. It's what Charles did to the Queen when he fired her private secretary, Christopher Gate. Only now it's being done to him. Well, there you go. William, for his part, has no interest in the sentimental family unity that his father prizes. He sees the monarchy as a brand and Andrew and Harry as hugely damaging. I mean, even putting Andrew and Harry in the same sentence. William is a fool. Harry would be the one to help save this institution along with Meghan, but that ship sailed a long time ago. William's problem with Harry is that Harry is just more popular and has an even more popular wife. His view, expressed repeatedly to aides, is that his uncle should never again be in the presence of the monarch. When Andrew attempted to get into a photograph at the Duchess of Kent's funeral in September, William's fury was instant. Yeah, he stood right in front of him and was all smiley and chummy. Those close to him say that sealed Andrew's fate in William's mind. He had to go and renew the campaign with new energy and determination. And you see, the campaign to get Andrew to go has absolutely nothing to do with the young woman who was victimized. It's all to do with William's ego and image. The media looks ready to credit William for Andrew's downfall. I'm noting repeated references to his role in reports, and I expect a lot of lobbying from his side on the matter in the next few days and weeks. I mean, lobbying to do what? They're going to put Andrew where? Where are they going to put him? At this point, they've coddled him for so long. They kind of have no choice but to continue to coddle him unless they want to fall too. We discussed this in the podcast with Brian. If Andrew falls, he's going to take others with him. But William, I am told, isn't finished. When he ascends to the throne, I am told he will issue new letters patent as royal executive orders are known to strip Andrew, Anne, Harry, Archie, Elizabeth, Eugenie, and Beatrice of their HRH princely titles. Well, there you go. You heard it from William himself through Tom Sykes. He will put through the orders to strip them all of their titles. Now, I don't think anybody in the public who has their head on straight would have an issue with Andrew losing his titles. But trying to put Andrew, Harry, and his children, who are still small children, in that same group and stripping them all of their titles. William is insane. Now, before I continue reading this, it was actually this that popped up in the news on BBC. This is Ed Balls, former MP Ed Balls. And listen to what he said about the issue of taking Andrew's titles.
I think the right thing as a government is to say this is a matter for the royal family. I think it's the right thing that, I think so. It's right that Prince Andrew has relinquished his titles. I think the royal family will have to make its own decisions about sort of what, if anything, what other steps might be taken. But I think it is a matter for them.
Officially, though, he will still retain the dukedom. It could be removed by an act of parliament. Would you support legislation to do that?
We're going to be guided by the royal family
right.
And His Majesty the King
but on
this.
A personal level, would you support legislation to remove his dukedom?
I think it's right that he's relinquishing the titles. And I think that's
you're evading my question.
No, I'm not evading that question.
Would you support any legislation?
I think we'll be guided by the royal family on this as to whether... I think the royal family have said that they didn't want to take up parliamentary time with this. There are lots of other things that Parliament is discussing. I think it's right he's given up his titles. I think the right thing as a government is to say this is a matter for the royal family. I think it's the right...
See, now he kept on repeating, I think it's right that Andrew has given up his titles. He has not given up his titles. And the interviewer, for once on BBC, actually pushed back and said, "You're trying to evade the question," because she asked about parliamentary procedure to take away his titles. And that's the only way that his titles can actually be taken away. Now, he then goes on to say, I think the royal family has said that they don't want to take up parliamentary time. I've never heard anything like that being briefed from the palace about not taking up parliamentary time. The royal family take up so much parliamentary time. The royal family take up so much money and resources. So I don't really think they're worried about taking up anybody's time. So is this the beginning of a saga? And I theorized this the other day, that actually taking away Andrew's titles will be the entry point where they can take away Harry and Meghan's. But the thing that they still don't seem to understand is that in the wider scope of things, it just doesn't matter if Harry and Meghan don't have their titles. Meghan is one clothing line drop away from being a billionaire. And that is not me being a crazy fan or, being delusional. It's the truth. Everything she wears sells out. Everything she puts out and touches sells out. That's not me being delusional saying that. So really and truly, what does it matter if they don't have those titles? It only matters to William and his pathetic ego. And he now, and I believe that, again, I believe this Tom Sykes piece is being briefed by William, is basically confirmed that's what he's going to try and do. I dare William. I don't know who is advising him. I don't know what's going on within those palace walls. They have completely and utterly lost the plot. You want to trigger a whole parliamentary procedure. Or do you know what? All William is going to achieve by doing this, I think, is opening a whole can of worms. I think he's opening a whole can of worms. He's actually just given the British tabloids like a year's worth of stories to print. That's all we're gonna hear whenever this happens. They're removing the titles. They're removing the titles. William he's serving his ego, but he's not really serving himself in reality. And I think he's going to be brought down to reality if he ever tries to take Harry and Meghan's titles, because it's just going to be one big ish show. And he'll just end up destroying himself. I don't know whoever's in that palace. If you're listening to this podcast, I know that William likes to throw people at dog bowls. Perhaps stand at a distance on the other side of the room and tell him, mate, you're being ridiculous. This will not lead you anywhere useful. Please tell him that it's going to mean absolutely nothing if you take Harry and Meghan's titles. Nothing. Anyway, the article goes on to say, it is a curious but familiar moment, a dying monarch too proud to abdicate, an heir already acting as a king, and a family rearranging itself around a slow motion end. That's exactly what this is, a slow motion end. And William now trying to take people's titles. Now, I don't really understand monarchical law, the ins and outs of it, but it's been a minute since a royal has had Parliament take their title away, since anybody abdicated. You could set a precedent where, maybe people start petitioning, oh, well, let's just dissolve the monarchy. Oh, let's take this one's title now. Again, I don't understand the law, but I think this could actually backfire on William in that way. Even those who admire Charles' stoicism admit that the balance of power has changed. When the king announced he had cancer, said one palace source, the reign slipped overnight. The remains of Charles's reign is now less about governance than legacy, about how he will be remembered. He has spent his life seeking reconciliation with his subjects, his sons, and his brother. But reconciliation is not the mood of the next generation. The Windsor house that William is building will be leaner, sharper, and less forgiving. so so William just ranting about how he's gonna be a tyrant. I mean, what does that mean to me? What does that mean to the person on the street? That William will be less forgiving. That really doesn't mean anything to me. God. Okay, then this is the last part. The last part. Andrew's downfall then is a declaration of intent. It is the first great purge of the coming reign, the moment when the family's liabilities stop being managed and start being cut out. Charles believed disgrace could be redeemed. William, raised in an age of social media, understands that disgrace is contagious. Does he really? Because the way he's behaving, I don't know if he does. So the Duke of York is gone. I mean, does this mean that we won't see Andrew then at any more family gatherings, front and center? The king, meanwhile, fights his private war with a disease, the type of which the palace still will not name. And below him, already the next sovereign governs in all but title, preparing a kingdom in which there will be no room for weak men or indulgent brothers. Will there even be any room for royalty, period? That's the question here. In the end, the king's illness explains everything. His taste to announce an innocent prostate procedure made transparency unavoidable. His transparency ushered in the transition, and King Billy demanded a very public sacrifice. Andrew is that sacrifice, the scapegoat offered to prove that William's monarchy still has backbone, even if its patriarch fades. William isn't even king yet, and I'm already exhausted. Someone said on Twitter, it's a joke. Why doesn't Charles and William go to Parliament to strip Andrew of his title? They won't, because they have done things just as bad as Andrew. Exactly. So now this is the point I was trying to make. Will they just open a can of worms? Thank you to Zandy Sussex, by the way, for screen printing the entire article so that we don't give that man any more clicks and views. But this is just rather interesting, isn't it? It's the best tea we've had since tea time. Oh, that's Ed Miliband, not Ed Balls. Oh, yes, it is Ed Miliband. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much, Elaine Parker, for correcting me. Oh, yeah, Ed Balls is more chubby. My bad. Yeah, Ed Balls, his face just came into my head. Yes, this is Ed Miliband. Sorry. Oh, dear, oh, dear. Let's go to your comments and then we will go to the next part. Thank you for the super chat, Elaine Parker, and correcting me. Julia, you're saying, I don't know why he can't be flicked to the curb. I mean, I'm sure he has enough cash to get a condo or apartment somewhere in the world. The thing is, these people, they have caviar champagne lifestyles. And so they want to be able to fly private. They want to be able to, you know, have house staff and live in the fanciest apartments. And they want all the trimmings of life that cost money, and they don't work. And they've lived with that privilege their entire lives, so they're not going to give it up easily. But they deserve none of it. Rhonda, you said, so this article is designed to show William's toughness. You should note that if you have to tell us that you're tough, then you're probably not. This exactly. And the toughness we would have liked to see is Andrew not being coddled and behind bars. Nothing about this whole situation with Andrew really even matters anymore because he's not behind bars. That's what accountability would look like. Him not being behind bars, and him not having the privileges that come with being the son of the Queen. I don't care about the titles. Strip the titles, fine. But him in jail should have been where we were at a long time ago. All of this is just not nonsense. A big fat nothing burger. Lottie, can William really do that to Harry and take his titles? When he's king, he can ask Parliament. Interesting though, you had the female MPs who wrote a letter of support for Meghan the first time, and then the second time it was a mix of male and female MPs from both Conservative and Labour and Lib Dem parties. So I think that there are MPs in Parliament who I believe are just sick of the royals, and they're sick of the way in which I think Harry and Meghan have been treated. But obviously, because they pledge an allegiance to the monarch, a lot of them, most of them aren't ever going to directly say anything. But I think by them signing those letters of support for Meghan on 2 different occasions and from both sides of the aisle, I mean, it tells you something. So he would have William, when he's king, would have to go to Parliament to get this ball rolling. Now, are Parliament going to play ball? With Andrew, it's very easy because you have a clear reason to take his titles. With Harry and Meghan, I don't know. And that's why I'm saying it's just going to end up being one big ish show and William making a fool of himself. But it's interesting that William is even alluding to it. I think it just shows how insane with rage that he is. He truly believes, he's so full of hate and jealousy, he truly believes that this will do something. All it's going to do is give us a reason to buy more popcorn, to be honest. I just hope, if it happens, I just hope Harry and Meghan do everything to protect their peace. Protect your peace, Harry and Meghan. If William wants to come and throw the tantrum of all tantrums and truly be a mad Shakespearean king, let him be as dramatic as he wants. Just let him be. Don't even pay it any mind. Let's see. Julia, titles are for books and movies. Exactly. Mush, Harry and Meghan knows those titles are the only thing they have over them, so I'm not sure why they're still holding onto it and why they use it in America. It doesn't mean a thing in America. Mush, did you not watch the Harry and Meghan documentary? Are you new here? Harry and Meghan offered to give up the titles. They were refused. So this is another thing I think we have to remind people about. Harry and Meghan offered to give up the titles. Charles said no because Charles isn't stupid. William, on the other hand, has proven to be all types of stupid. And I think this is why we're now getting pre-briefings about possibly taking their titles. But just to be clear, if you go and watch the Harry and Meghan documentary, they offered to give up the titles, they were refused. Yeah, Pete, she said, how many times has Sussex offered to give back their titles and the Queen refused? That will have to go through Parliament before that can happen. The Prince will be the Prince, indeed. I mean, go on and give us a popcorn show, for real. Hidley, is William tried to scare Camilla? You know, I feel like we don't actually talk about Camilla enough. Because it's going to be interesting to see her position when all this happens, because at the end of the day, William is still going to be king. Now, Camilla has played her cards right all of this time. She's played her power moves right, but when Charles is gone, I think it's going to be a whole different ball game for Camilla. If I was Camilla, I would just make sure that Charles has a nice little pocket of money for me, a home, somewhere quiet. Don't go and get some big old estate that they can try and push you out of. Just somewhere quiet and go live your life quietly. Because it's not like anybody wants to be seeing you past 2025 anyway, or past whenever it is that Charles is gone. Just go and live your life quietly. the way you should have after Diana passed away. Tamara, and isn't it on record Harry says, just call me Harry? Exactly. Lottie, if William to take away Harry's titles, Harry's still a prince. And Harry said outright, he doesn't even want to be king. So what is William's problem? Again, it's like I was saying in the podcast with Brian. Harry has built a life so much better than the life that William has now and the life that William would have as king. A merry-go-round of Trooping of the Colour and the Christmas concert and the this and that of the guards and being married to someone who you clearly don't want to be married to. Absolute torture, not a fairy tale at all. Tamara, you said, all jokes aside, the Sussexes and Spencer have escaped that cult. You know who really will have a hard time, sadly? Louis. One, his parents have sown a bitter seed, and this is a living example for George. I mean, I feel like what Harry and Meghan are doing will go some way eventually to helping the Wells children. And I think that the Wells children, I believe they have a fighting chance to escape. At the very least, we know at the very least they will be able to go to university and to, go to school. So there's some chance for them to have some kind of normality and to have some level of choice if they want to leave. They may not live the extravagant lifestyles that that come with the trappings of royal life, but who's to say that they'll even want them? If they can go live relatively normal lives without having to partake in this cult behavior and being controlled, who knows? They may choose that path. I hope they do. I hope they get free from all of this, because at the end of the day, they will just, they're just innocents that were born into this institution, into this cult. Everybody deserves a chance at freedom, so we'll see. If anything, I think actually with Louis and Charlotte, because they're the spares, they actually have a fighting chance of escaping. It's George that the institution is gonna try and grab onto. Margaret, you said, I don't give William time. He's a deranged future king. Benjamin, you said, Anne, it's not disclosed what the Queen left each of them. No, I don't think it ever has been. But are you talking about the kids? Because I would think that the kids only have access to it at a certain age, and the firm being the way it is, they may hold on to that with bribes, the same way they did with Harry and security. Rhonda, when was the last time we had a Camilla sighting? Yes, the sightings for Camilla are getting less and less and less. I mean, they are going to go to see the Pope. But it's interesting that Camilla's been around a lot less lately. Casey, you said, hi everyone. Remember the Canadian Parliament stated that they can only strip royal titles with a unanimous vote from all of the Commonwealth countries. What do you mean? Okay, I think I'm gonna have to look up this whole thing, because I wasn't aware that Commonwealth countries had to vote. Yeah, he'll be in jail without his teddy bears. Oh gosh, I even forgot about that. Thanks for reminding me, Pete Rose, that Andrew likes teddy bears. Yeah, a shipment of hay is feeding Camilla right now. Well, utterly sad people. All right. Last thing I wanted to mention was karma's come for another Meghan hater. This time, Kay Adams star faces an uncertain BBC future after being taken off air amid bullying allegations, but will now face ITV swinging acts as loose women bears the brunt of job cut bloodbath. Another one who was always taking jabs at Harry and Meghan. The veteran presenter has been removed from her BBC Radio Scotland show, a role that earns her a healthy $155,000 a year salary, following unsavoury allegations that she bullied her co-workers. While she remains on leave until an investigation is carried out, inevitable questions must now be asked about her role on the increasingly precarious Loose Women panel. Listen, just get rid of Loose Women. Never liked that panel. The only person on that panel I liked was Denise Welch. She's the only one that stood up for Harry and Meghan. The rest of them are nasty. Adams, 62, has been a regular feature on the ITV show, a British equivalent to US daytime juggernaut The View, since its initial inception in 1999. Get rid of them all. Get rid of them all. Carmen knows everybody's address, and it finally came for her. Meghan Kelly next. And then Meghan, my father, McCain next. And Piers Morgan, when the karma comes for him, truly hope it's epic. All right. I'm going to end things there. Thank you so much. Thank you again, everyone who came to listen to Mine and Brian's podcast. Definitely go and check that out if you haven't. We had such a good chat. Appreciate you all, and I will see you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, folks. Ciao.